The madness continues. I'm in this for the long haul at this point. I gotta see what happens to the simp. I gotta see. I gotta know. So with that said, everybody, welcome back to another one of our weekly Rent-A-Girlfriend discussion videos. Today we're gonna be talking all about episode 3, Beach and Girlfriend. But before we get into the video proper, quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. We're trying to reach 25K before the end of the year, and I feel like we can do it, but it's gonna be close. So if you haven't done so yet, hit that sub button, maybe even ring the bell. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the episode. Oh boy. Last week was a heck of a thing, wasn't it? We had a lot going on in episode 2. It's only episode 3, and I'm already like, I don't know where we go from here. Like already, I'm like, this is already as intense as it could possibly be in terms of a like rom-com, right? So it's like, okay, I don't know what happens to Kaz from here. I guess we'll find out. I thought episode 2 was like really intense in terms of like where they took Kaz as like king simp, you know? But nah, it gets progressively more interesting. So pretty much this episode picks up right where the last one left off with Mami-chan's proposal. All right, now Mami-chan is like she's an ice queen. In fact, I might even just give her the nickname of Ice Queen. But she's playing it off as though like she's not, like when she's around Kaz, right? The whole idea, as we've talked about last week, it's very much the case, is that Mami-chan's like trying to sort of like be nice on the surface just to break them up. It's something we'll get into a little bit later once we find out about Mami-chan's like private Twitter. We'll get into it. But yeah, she basically proposes to Kaz like, hey, you know, my house is pretty close by. And it's like, oh snap. Okay, Kaz, she's literally just trying to break you two up because she doesn't like that you're happy right now. I wish you had the common sense to see this, but apparently not, because Kaz is not exactly the most intelligent dude on the planet. This we absolutely know. But Kaz is just like, hell yeah, bro. Like, Kaz is such a simp. My man is just immediately fallen into it. Now, when I say simp, I don't mean Kaz is simp because he likes women. Like, that's not what simp means. When I say simp, I mean the way that Kaz views Mami-chan. Like, that is what a simp is. Like, this, like, idolizing them. Like fetishizing them to the nth degree and putting them up on a pedestal and worshiping them like there's nothing else worthy. That's a simp, right? And this man is King Simp. This is like the most simpy character I've seen in anime in a long time. Like, my man is King Simp. The mere concept of Mami-chan like letting him come into her abode is enough to send him into an absolute frenzy, only to be blocked by Mami-chan's little brother. Apparently her brother has like some friends over or whatever, and totally dashes this man's dreams. And he's like, oh, you must be like real close with your siblings. And she's like, nah, he's a brat, but it is what it is. And basically she just said that to see what this man's reaction was gonna be. It's like, Kaz, she's so clearly playing you, dude. Like, my man's an absolute simp. God damn it, Kaz. And what's funny too is like, this man's like, okay, so I can't go to her place. Maybe she wants me to invite her to my place, which is like, that's messed up on a few fronts. The first being Mami-chan is playing you like a damn fiddle, and the second being, did you forget who your neighbor was? And you would have to probably bump into them should you have brought Mami-chan back. Would have been just a little bit awkward for you now, wouldn't it? But Kaz doesn't think about that because my man only has the mere thought of like, maybe I should invite this thought over to my place. And it takes about all of 2 seconds for the mere concept of bringing Mami-chan back to his place to make this dude throw up in the like beside a vending machine. Because Kaz, it's not enough that Kaz is a simp. No. Kaz gotta be a coward on top of everything else. Just like the most chicken shit character around. What concerns me is the amount of people saying like, I don't know, man, I find him kind of relatable. Oh my god, no you don't. I refuse to believe that you do. I refuse. And if you do, please work on that. There is no way. I refuse to believe anybody saying that is being honest. Because, like, no, I guarantee you're not. Kaz is a caricature. You're not supposed to hella, like, one-to-one relate to this fool. You can kind of relate to some of the situations he gets himself into. Like, well, maybe not the rental part, but, like, the fact that he gets so nervous around Mami-chan, you can kind of relate to that. But there's a lot of the stuff that he does that's out and out just weird and kind of uncomfortable and, like, awkward, but not awkward in, like, a, like, rom-com-y cute kind of way. Awkward in a, my dude, you need to speak to more women kind of way. Which is really funny because Kaz speaks to a hell of a lot of women, now that I think about it, but he's just so friggin' awkward. Virgin's gonna verge, as the show rightfully points out. But yeah, that's kinda, wow. This man, yeah, yikes. I don't know, some of the stuff he does just makes me uncomfortable. And again, maybe it's the ace part of me, but, like, at the same time, I've dated many people. Like, being ace doesn't necessarily exclude me from the dating side of things, and on the dating front, Kaz is fucking hopeless. Like, this man, I just don't understand this man. I just don't understand why this man be simping so hard for this girl when Mami-chan's very clearly taking advantage of you, but he doesn't see that because he's so infatuated. But at the same time, like, your rental girlfriend is way hotter. Like, and since you're basically just judging Mami-chan off her looks and this fake version of her that you're seeing in your head, Mizu's hotter in every way, shape, and form. Yeah, you gotta pay for her, but at the very least, like, maybe it can help you develop the skills you need to meet somebody like Mizu down the line. You know, like, a good smooth talker and a good sense of humor goes a long way in the dating game. So Kaz, for the love of God, maybe just use this time as a learning tool and get better at this whole dating thing. I don't know, just the thought, for the love of God. But yeah, when he approaches Mami-chan about this, she just sort of is like, Kaz? And he's like, oh my God, I am trash. And I'm like, yes, sir, yes, absolutely, yes, 100%, yes, you are. But you're my trash, and I'm stuck with you now. I am stuck with you, Kaz. I have to know if you grow. I have to know if you improve as a person. Although, judging by the fact that manga fans can't keep their friggin' mouths shut, I don't know if I necessarily want to say that in a video, because God help me, something tells me a manga fan's gonna be like, actually, Kaz doesn't actually improve until blah, 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 blah. Don't tell me, for God's sake. I'm just trying to watch the show, man. But yeah, this man do be trash, though. It really do be like that. He really is trash, but, like, I'm invested. I gotta see how it goes. And at the very least, like, too, and I don't want to hear any complaints, TMS is animating this pretty flawlessly. I actually quite enjoy the direction on Kazumai Koga's part, who, by the way, the only thing that they've directed that I am familiar with is Rainy Coco, and not even Season 1, Season 2 of Rainy Coco, and now they're here directing Rent-a-Girlfriend. I'm surprised. I'm more so surprised that I like the direction, and I'm more so surprised that the show is turning out so damn great. Although, again, TMS at the helm, so, you know, I guess I can sort of understand how it's actually going as well as it is. But that said, yes, I am enjoying the show. The amount of people who thought that I was hating on the show was kind of baffling last week. No, I don't hate the show. I'm enjoying watching Kaz make a fool out of himself. It's actually quite fun. Sort of like watching, like, Car Crash TV, or like 90 Day Fiancé, but with more simps. Well, somehow more simps, and it's a rental girlfriend. You know what I mean. Also, I just want to point out the irony of Mami-chan saying that there's more to a girl than just looks when she has the personality of a wet towel. That's kind of ironic. In fairness, though, this does inspire a bad reaction from Kaz, which I was actually sort of proud of Kaz for this. Anytime this man sort of breaks the simp character, I do sort of start to be like, okay, there we go, Kaz. Now you're on the right track, my boy. Just keep this train rolling, but of course not, right? Because basically what I mean by this is that when Mami-chan says, like, there's more to a person than just their looks, he's put off by that because Mizu is so much clearly more than just her looks. Don't get me wrong now. Mizu-chan is a 10 out of 10, but she's also quite the good character and a much nicer person than Mami-chan is, especially since everybody else in the show seems to get the hint that Mami-chan's just the hintest, little slightliest bit fake, whereas all the other dudes in the show They are of the impression that Mizu is a goddamn saint, and so am I, even though this man does have to pay her. She's not a saint, but she's a far cry from Mami-chan, who is probably the devil. You know what I mean? She's pretty, she's a pretty face, but she's an ice queen through and through. And keep in mind that whole appearance thing, there's more to a girl than just appearances, because that's going to come into play a little bit later in the episode when somebody sizes somebody up and realizes that they don't really amount to about the same thing. Now that said, speaking of Mizu, let's go ahead and actually talk about Kaz once again manning up and apologizing to Mizu, which I really appreciate. This man rings the doorbell and is sort of just like outside standing there. And might I add, by the way, the backgrounds in this show are fantastic. The art direction by Minoru Akiba is like really on point. Like for some reason, the background art just really hits like week to week. So I have to shout them out. Like Minoru Akiba is really knocking it out of the park. So I have to give them my full kudos. Fantastic work on the background art. For some reason, the apartment's always, there's like this melancholic vibe to the apartment, specifically in this scene, and I just think it's handled so well, so I have to give some shout outs to the art direction. They also did the art direction for Grand Blue Dreaming, ironically enough, since this episode also takes us to the beach. So yeah, definitely some Grand Blue Dreaming type of backgrounds here, and sense of humor, but that's more of a direction thing. Well, it's also more of a writing thing, but yeah, the sense of humor even kind of reminded me of Grand Blue Dreaming, not like one-to-one, but more of like the pervy side of Grand Blue Dreaming, which is most of Grand Blue Dreaming sides, but hey, it looked pretty, and I thought the show was pretty funny. But we're not here to talk about Grand Blue Dreaming, damn it, we're here to talk about friggin' Rent-A-Girlfriend. And as I said, when Kaz approaches the apartment door and rings the bell, he admits to himself that he understands why she's mad, and if she never spoke to him again, he probably would understand. Because everything he did that whole day was wrong. Like, every aspect of what he did was shitty and cold and cruel. And he didn't even mean it to be. He was just being selfish. Like, that's the thing. He was being incredibly selfish, and like, yes, that's his rent-a-girlfriend. That's the point. But even he was just like, I threw a lot at her when she's already doing me a lot of favors. Even though he's paying her, she still could have easily said no after all the shit that he's put her through so far, but she's still there for him. It's just kind of impressive. But to her, it's her job, right? Because when Mizu reappears, because he thinks that she's not talking to him, but really it's just that she hadn't gotten back yet. And Mizu reminds him, like, hey, I'm not actually your girlfriend, so I don't really care how you act towards me. I'm your rental girlfriend. I am literally just, the way that you treat me is up to you. I am your rental girlfriend. I am not actually your girlfriend. And shockingly enough, like when Kaz breaks down, I was like, you know what? If the show like took Mizu off the board in that moment and like brought her back in later, I would have actually been kind of cool with it, because don't forget, we still have two other characters that haven't been introduced yet. And I assume that like at some point either he's gonna run into these characters or Mizu's gonna be like, don't talk to me for a while, or like, no, I'm not hanging out with you if it's not Wednesdays or something like that, right? Where Mizu's not gonna be around and he's gonna have to use the rental service to call somebody else. So I have a feeling it's gonna be those two. So what I had thought was gonna happen in this scene was that Mizu was gonna be like, I need a break from you for a bit, like just for a bit. Like, you can still call me up on Wednesdays, but outside of that, I'm just gonna avoid you for a while. Sorry. And I had assumed that maybe in this desperation, he would end up like calling one of the other rental girlfriends. Bit of a stretch, I admit, but that's sort of where I thought the story was going. But no, Mizu yet again surprises me. Both of these characters in the scene really surprise me. Where Mizu decides to still be kind and saying like stuff like, sometimes you just need a see you later instead of a goodbye. And is there to sort of comfort him and say like, listen, if you need me, I'm still gonna be there. You're probably gonna have to pay me, but I'm still gonna be there, because that's my job. And it's like, goddamn, what an absolute like boss bitch, like just on her shit right now. Absolute queen. But that pretty much wraps up all of the like lingering threads from last week, and that sort of leads us nicely into the second part of the episode, that being the whole beach part of the episode. There's always a beach episode in like every anime. There's always got to be one trip to the beach. And for us, it's already happening in episode 3, which admittedly is a bit of a surprise, but we will be there next week as well, so I guess it all works out. Now that said, the trip to the beach starts with Kaz being a moron, because of course I couldn't be proud of him for the entire episode. And Kaz is assuming that, like, because Mami-chan is going with them to the beach, and the fact that she was cool with Kaz even being invited in the first place, that this must mean that Mami-chan is being an absolute angel in this moment. You are so dumb. It blows my mind that he thinks that she is this way, when she's so clearly an ice queen and, like, is obviously out to ruin his quote-unquote relationship with Mizu. And even his friends are like, hey, and his friends, can I say, like, the friends are not only great comedic foils, but they are, like, genuinely good dudes. Like, when they say, like, hey, man, listen, like, I know you still have feelings for Mami-chan, I get that, I respect that. But you better treat your current girl right. And I was like, God damn, like, thank you. Because there's parts in the episode where I'm like, I really wish one of them would say something from last week where I'm like, can you say something to this fool? Like, he's so clearly still into Mami-chan. Can somebody say, like, hey, man, that's kind of uncool. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes being somebody's friend means you gotta call them on their bullshit. And it seems as though his friends were cool enough to be like, hey, man, listen, like, we know that you're still into Mami-chan to a certain degree, so treat your current girl right. You know what I mean? Like, don't be a dick. Spoilers, he's gonna end up being a dick by the end of the episode. But regardless, like, the friends actually step up and do give him, like, the heads up, like, hey, man, don't pull that shit. They're still pervy. Like, they're still pervy characters, but, like, they're dudes in their first year of college. Of course they're gonna be pervy. So, like, I at least appreciate that they're being open with how Kaz is being a bit of a sleazeball right now. At least as far as they're concerned. We know that it's all a big misunderstanding, but they don't know that, so I appreciate that to them, Kaz does look like he's acting like kind of a sleazeball, so they rightfully call him out on that. Again, solid character writing, I appreciated it. And speaking of some character writing that's maybe not solid, but interesting at the very least, is, well, I actually think it is solid, but it's Mami-chan being evil as fuck on her, what I can only assume is like a private Twitter of some kind, where she just vents her frustrations onto this Twitter, like onto this little Twitter feed that is locked, so nobody is allowed to see it unless, like, I assume, like, she gives them permission to see it. I actually know people with private Twitter accounts. It's an interesting concept. It's sort of like having a journal where you can, like, jot down all your negative thoughts, you know, into the ether, but the problem is that it's on the internet, and if somebody does manage to see it, then everybody knows that, you know, all your deepest, darkest thoughts, and, like, that's maybe not the best idea. And I have a feeling like that is going to come up at some point, like Mami-chan's, like, crazy ass, like, personal Twitter. I feel like that's probably gonna come into play at some point. But the fact that she, like, what she says in there, like, that's what kills me, is the fact that she openly admits in this Twitter to just herself, in fairness, but mostly to the audience as well. Like, when we see, we get to see the Twitter because we are the, you know, omnipresent, like, looking in audience, right? So we see a bunch of this shit, and we see her typing into her Twitter that she is going to try to break Mizu and Kaz up, because again, as far as anybody else is concerned, this is a real relationship. So she is, like, actually actively trying to ruin this dynamic. And I had assumed that at some point we would learn that Mami-chan was also part of the same rental service, but I don't think that's the case. Like, I kept waiting for this to pop up all episode, but it never did. So that was kind of interesting. And again, like I said, Mami-chan's just kind of evil. Like, she ends up playing the role of the good girl for a while, right? And when I say the good girl, I mean, like, her being like, hey, I'm really sorry about starting the fight the other day. I understand if you're mad at me. But she only says this when she's alone with Kaz, so that he feels like this need to be like, oh, no, it's okay, like, everything, no, everything okay, to quote my boy Yuri from Yuri on Ice. But yeah, like, she's basically playing the good girl, and of course Kaz is like, oh, no, there's no need to apologize. And then she pulls this trick, and I've seen people play this trick, and it is cruel, man. When exes start to remind their other, like, their ex about the good times, that is a hella cruel tactic. You know, like, if this were like Kaguya, this would be like compared to like the black egg that ninjas threw at people, where it's like just a dirty, cruel trick. That's sort of what this is like. It's effective as hell, though. Like, this trick is effective, because when you remind people of the good times, That's all they're focused on when you're talking about it. They're not thinking about the time that you guys got into that argument about who stole whose, like, wonton soup. You know, like, that's not what they're thinking about right now. They're thinking about all the good stuff, the happy times where you shared the wonton soup. But that's not what we be talking about. You know what I mean? Like, that's not why you guys were, like, that's not, like, all those good times didn't just stop for no reason. That's not how your relationship was. That's how it was at certain times. You know, that's not what it was as a whole. And my man Kaz isn't, like, understanding that. All he can think of is that time that he kissed Mami-chan, right? And that's what she brings up. She doesn't bring up the fact that she broke up with him just because she was friggin' bored after a month. You know what I mean? Like, he's not thinking about that. He's thinking about the good times within a month, which could only be, like, what, like 3 times? Jesus, Kaz. But again, like, I get it, man. It's like his first girl. He's gonna fall hard. I get it. I respect that. But yeah, she is evil, man. Like, she is evil. I'm telling you. But you know what's the opposite? What the opposite of evil is Superman. You know what Superman's secret identity is? It is Clark Kent. You know what Mizu is? Clark Kent. Yes, that's right. Mizu is Clark Kent. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean that by the time our girl shows up, she is in the guise of Ichinose, which is, I think, more like her, but I'm gonna keep calling her Mizu because that's the name that I know her by. But she's in Ichinose mode, basically her Clark Kent mode, right? Where she is herself, but it's also a disguise with the glasses and the pigtails and everything. It's very Clark Kent. And she plays this like a pro. Like, when she shows up, she sort of, like, kind of turns in just the right way where people are sort of seeing, like, the silhouette of her, but not, like, her full face. And when she does turn, her mannerisms are different, her patterns of speech are different. Again, that's credit to Sora Amamiya just for, like, bringing, like, a slightly, it's a very faint difference to Mizu, right? Like, very faint, just enough to sort of trick the mind. You, like, if you didn't know, maybe you would believe that they're different people. I would be impressed if that tricked you, but it did manage to trick this group of first-year college students, so it's got to be at least a little bit effective. And that said, she's a pro. Like, she handles it totally well and takes off when she needs to and doesn't freak out like Kaz does, because Kaz freaks out at everything. But yeah, Mizu acting like an absolute pro, and I had to give this girl credit for just being, again, the most boss bitch character of this entire thing. When I say boss bitch, I don't mean it as a derogatory phrase. I mean, like, my girl out here doing her job, getting things done, being a professional. I appreciate it. But this leads us to the convenience store scene where Kaz yet again finds himself desperately attempting to find a way to get out of the rental girlfriend situation. And the one thing he thinks of is, like, maybe I should just tell them what's going on. And of course, this is not the option he goes with. Because if he tells them, then everybody's gonna laugh at him. They're all gonna laugh at you. Of course he can't tell them that. So of course he doesn't do that. But instead he's trying to wrap his brain around how he can get away with this. Now if I were him, I would have just been like, okay, so here's the plan. I am going to tell Mizu to tell everybody else that we broke up. That way, if I see Ichinose around in person, it's all good, right? It's not worth the hassle at this point to get the two confused, because it's only going to ruin her life on top of mine. So it's not worth it. But Kaz, of course, doesn't think of that, because when he is debating this, he's having this inner debate, like, what do I do? What do I do? He sees Mizu when he opens the door, and he just grabs this girl and, like, pulls her into the bathroom that he's having this inner debate with. And of course, like, in my head, I'm like, that's a little, you couldn't have talked in the convenience store? Like, that's a little weird. But, no, it has to be private, you know, it's gotta be secret, so that in case anybody sees them, it's all good. Of course, somebody ends up seeing them anyway, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So, yeah, this man continues to have this debate, but now Mizu's there, having the debate along with him, and Kaz, yet again, puts his foot directly into his mouth when he starts saying, like, hey, I just wanted to thank you because, like, things are going really well with me and Mami-chan right now. So really, like, everything's working out. How do you think Mizu's going to take that? And what kills me is that she's like, listen, like, I'm your rental girlfriend. Like, I don't care about the situation, blah, 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 blah. Talking to you gives me a headache, blah, 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 blah. You know, she doesn't want to hear that. Like, she doesn't want to hear that Kaz is going to get together with Mami-chan with her still pretending to be his girlfriend, because obviously, to some degree, she cares, and to some degree, whether or not you're a rental girlfriend or not, that's still gonna hurt. Like, that's still kind of an offensive thing to tell somebody. You know what I mean? Like, it's still just the vaguest bit uncool, no matter which way you slice it. But Kaz, you know, has zero social skills, is, you know, completely unaware of the things that he is saying and how they're going to affect the girls around him, because he seems to be perfectly fine talking to the dudes, as Grandma Kaz pointed out a while ago. It's like Grandma Kino pointed out. Sorry, I think I said Grandma Kaz. I meant Grandma Kino. Grandma Kino pointed out a while ago that this dude has been hanging around with other dudes so long that he's easily adaptable and can hang out with pretty much anybody as long as they're a dude. It's girls that he's having a hard time with. So I can at least respect that. Maybe he doesn't know how to speak to certain people, but even then, if this was a dude dating another dude, it would still be the same situation. You know what I mean? Like, if this show were like to be a boys love show with the same setup and Mizu was a guy, it'd be the same thing. You know what I mean? It's just not something you tell somebody, even if they're your rental girlfriend and not just your actual girlfriend. It's just not cool, like the things he was saying. So of course Mizu has this like Ice Queen mode. Like, Mizu enters Ice Queen mode. You think it was just Mami-chan? No, everybody has an Ice Queen. All of the characters have an Ice Queen dwelling within them. Even the dudes have an Ice Queen dwelling within them. But yeah, of course Mizu like just snaps on the man and like tells him off. But this leads to Mami-chan showing up thinking like, what the hell? Who are you talking to? And our girl doing a quick change, again, like really acting like going from Clark Kent to Superman like a pro. And may I just say, the cult of Mizu is strong. The cult of Mizuhara is very strong. Mizu looked like an absolute queen in this moment. I was like, yeah, damn. She looked so fine that all the other characters were like shocked by, like, I'm pretty sure all the dudes called her Venus, which is like hilarious to me. But yeah, all of them were like, wow, like, Kaz, like, look how great Mizu looks. And Kaz is like, yeah, I know, right? Oh, so great. But what's hilarious to me is the scene, and I'm probably using the screenshot of it because it makes me laugh. It's the scene where Mami-chan, who also looks great, by the way. Like, say what you will about Mami-chan being an Ice Queen. I love seeing this character on screen because she's an Ice Queen, and it's fun to watch the evil characters be evil. It's fun. It's not a derogatory thing. She's meant to be the quote-unquote evil, like, Ice Queen character. You're supposed to feel like, ooh, Mami-chan, you so crazy. Like, so you're supposed to feel that way. So again, I like seeing her on screen, and she is also attractive. I'm not saying she's not attractive, but it is really funny to me when Mami-chan sees Mizu and like jumps up and like zips her hoodie up so that she doesn't have to compare sizes, if you know what I'm saying. That was really friggin' hilarious. And by the way, as I haven't addressed this yet, both girls are fine. I'm not saying that they're not fine. And like Mami-chan's outfit is like aces. I think like the hoodie over top of the swimsuit is fantastic. Like it's a cool look. You have to admit, whether or not you like Mami-chan or not, the like cool jacket over the bikini, it looks cool. Like it's a cool look. It looks sharp. I think she looks pretty fine. But hey, you're allowed to like the bad guy characters. And I do like Mami-chan just like as a villain. Like I just think she's like despicable. And I'm like, ooh, you're a bad person. You know what I mean? Like, ooh, you a bad person. But watching you be bad on screen is very entertaining. But speaking of being a bad person, this leads us to the final scene where this man Kaz just spins lies upon lies. And of course Mizu gets pissed with him. Because again, this man's spinning lies upon lies, saying like, oh no, she was born here. When they're like, oh yeah, you know any tourist spots? She's like, Kaz like, she was like a rich girl, so she doesn't know all this stuff like in the area. Ha ha ha. It's like, shut up, Kaz. You're making things worse. So of course this man runs like a coward because I mean that's what Kaz is. This man is a simp and a coward. He's a he's a cowimp. He's a cowimp. A simp and a coward, or a simpard. He's a simpard. I love it. But yeah, when he runs away, he bumps into Mami-chan, and Mami-chan's like, hey, I lost my bracelet. Can you help me look for it? I'm pretty sure it was a bracelet. I could be wrong. But he's like, yeah, sure. And so they kind of disappear behind the rocks. And she basically tricks this man. Now, admittedly, she does sort of fall into him, right? Like this, she takes a step, and I think like a turtle or something. Like she steps on something that moves under the water, and it sort of trips her feet, and she falls back. She lands on Kaz. And then she just kisses this fool. Now, admittedly, they showed this in the preview for next week, or for last week's previews for this week. They showed this scene, so it wasn't a surprise. I was just waiting to see if, like, maybe this was, like, fake or something. I didn't know, but no, it is very much real. And, yeah, my man is at this point, he's hook, line, sinker. Like, there's no shot that he isn't just gonna be like simping horde for Mami-chan after that. Like, of course he is. Of course he is. And like, I just, why you do this, Kaz? Why you do this? Why, not even Kaz. It's not even Kaz's fault. It's the mangaka. Reiji Miyajima, why you do this? Miyajima-sensei, what the hell are you thinking? Like, why are you doing this to us? Why must you make the drama so intense that I have to come back next week? It's like, what? It's literally like watching like a 90 Day Fiancé type thing. Only it's an anime where it's like that trashy kind of like thing where you're like, I gotta know who ends up with who. I'm here now. In the same way that Kaz is like hook, line, and sinker, like just all about Mami-chan right now. Even though he probably knows she's bad for him. At this point, I am the same way for Rent-A-Girlfriend, where I'm like, I know this is bad for me. It's like junk food, where I'm like, I know this is bad for me, but I love it, and I can't stop now. I had one, I gotta finish the whole bag. That's what it is. Like, that's basically what it is. Also, I should probably mention the ED. I'm just gonna be very brief here. It's cute, but at the same time, I can't help but question something, and maybe people can clarify this for me. Was that all a metaphor for, you know what? I feel like it was. Maybe I'm reaching, but I don't know. I was like, this is, because at first I'm like, this is cute. And then, like, I realized what, like, what the hand gesture Kaz was doing, and the fact that the pop explodes and all the girls look very disappointed. I was like, oh. That's all I'm gonna say about the ED. But with that said, everybody, I'm gonna wrap up today's video here. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, then don't forget to boop that up snoot and share if you care. And of course, as always, I have to give a big thank you to the good folks in the T Squadron. Look at these beautiful names. Look at all of these beautiful people. And hey, if you too would like to join these beautiful people, then be sure to check out the first link in the description to check out our Patreon page. For less than a cup of coffee a month, you can help keep this channel afloat, and I would sincerely appreciate it. But with that said, everybody, I gotta go edit this video and try not to scream about what a simp this man has become. Well, I guess what this man has always been. And until next time, you stay classy, AniTube, and wash your dang hands.